He said it didn't mean anything. But that night, when he touched my hand under the blanket, he held it like he'd been waiting a lifetime. My heart knew the truth before he ever whispered a word. He loved me. He just couldn't say it out loud. Not with my brother snoring just a few feet away. Welcome to my channel. Today's story is about the guy I was never supposed to fall for. My brother's best friend. Let's dive in. I never imagined I'd end up head over heels for Dylan Hart. He was the type who made life seem effortless, breezing through history class with that signature grin, dominating the soccer field like he owned it. And he was always around because he'd been my brother Max's best friend since they were kids in elementary school. At first, he was just Max's chaotic, overconfident buddy. The one who left pizza boxes everywhere, blasted music without warning, and barged into our house like he lived there. But something shifted last spring. It began with this subtle silence that crept in between us. Like he stopped seeing me as Max's pesky little sibling. He started looking at me differently, not as a punchline or a shadow, but as someone who caught him off guard, someone he couldn't ignore. I can pinpoint the exact instant everything changed. It was April, during spring break. We were at Willow Lake, just me, Max, and Dylan. Our parents were off on a cruise, so we had the family cottage all to ourselves for a long weekend. That first night, Max crashed early after a day of hiking, out cold with his phone still playing podcasts in his ear. Dylan and I stayed up, binge-watching a cheesy sci-fi series that we weren't really into. The room was dimly lit by the glow of the TV, casting flickering shadows on the walls. Somewhere between a plot twist and cracking open another energy drink, he turned to me and said, "You're not the same kid I remember." I paused, remote in hand, and glanced at him. "What do you mean by that?" He leaned back, that small, genuine smile tugging at his lips. "You're grown up now. More grounded. You don't chase attention like you used to. It's cool." I wanted to fire back with something witty, something to match his vibe, but I just sat there, staring. My pulse raced because this was Dylan. Dylan who was all jokes and sarcasm. Dylan who cycled through dates with the popular crowd, like it was a hobby. Dylan, who everyone assumed was straight as an arrow, and absolutely not someone I should let myself crush on. But I did. And that night, when our hands brushed under the shared fleece blanket on the couch, he didn't flinch away. Instead, he laced his fingers with mine, holding on like it was anchoring him. We didn't speak. The only sounds were the muffled dialogue from the TV, and Max's steady breathing from the bunk bed across the room. We sat there, hands intertwined, both acting like the spark shooting through us wasn't real. My heart thundered in my chest, loud enough that I worried he'd hear it. In that quiet, vulnerable space, I didn't feel afraid. I felt truly seen for the first time. The morning after, it was like a switch flipped. Dylan was back to his usual self, cracking jokes over breakfast, challenging Max to a swim in the lake, avoiding my eyes like nothing had happened. I told myself I was reading too much into it, that maybe the dim light and late hour had played tricks on my mind. Maybe I wanted it so desperately that I'd fabricated the whole thing. But 3 days later, back home, my phone lit up with a text from him. Just 4 words. That night meant something. I stared at the screen until it blurred, my thumbs hovering over the keyboard. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't feel the same, but because I had no clue what to say. This wasn't some fleeting crush from class. This was Dylan, Max's ride or die, the one person who was off limits in every way imaginable. I couldn't tell if that message was the start of something beautiful or a total disaster waiting to unfold. The following weeks blurred into a haze of confusion and stolen moments. He'd text me late at night when the house was quiet and Max was asleep. Short messages that hit like lightning. Can't stop thinking about you. That moment keeps replaying in my head. I don't know what this is. I didn't either, but every word made my chest ache with a mix of excitement and terror. At school, he was still the soccer star. Loud, charismatic, flirting with everyone in sight. But in those rare unguarded seconds when Max wasn't paying attention, he'd catch my eye across the hallway or the cafeteria, his gaze saying everything his words couldn't. I hated how I started craving those looks, how I'd enter a room and scan for him, my body tensing in anticipation, not out of fear that he'd ignore me, but out of dread that he wouldn't, that he'd brush too close or smile in a way that made my resolve crumble. I tried to play it cool, to act like our dynamic hadn't shifted. But every time he showed up at our house, grabbing snacks from the pantry or lounging on the couch with Max, my world tilted. He'd sit a fraction too near, his knee grazing mine accidentally as he reached for the game controller. It was electric, dangerous, and I knew we were barreling toward a point of no return. I wasn't sure if I wanted to slam on the brakes or floor the accelerator. That kind of unspoken tension builds up like a storm cloud, heavy and inescapable. It lodged in my chest, a constant weight I couldn't shake. Pretending we were just casual acquaintances only made it worse, because once you've shared a secret touch in the shadows, you can't unfeel it. You can't erase the memory of how perfectly your hands fit together. 2 weeks after the lake trip, the texts from Dylan tapered off. Not abruptly, but gradually. 1 day stretched to 3, then a week of radio silence. I convinced myself it was for the best. Maybe he'd snapped out of whatever fog we'd been in, realized it was a fleeting impulse born from isolation and boredom. Perhaps the fear of Max finding out had hit him hard. Or worse, maybe he'd never meant it at all. I hovered over the delete button on our chat history more times than I could count, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Those messages were proof that, for a brief moment, something real had sparked. Then, one rainy afternoon, I came home from school to find him perched on the kitchen island, scrolling through Max's phone and laughing at some meme. He glanced up as I walked in, his grin fading for just a heartbeat before he plastered it back on. "Hey, dude," he said, casual as ever, like I was just another face in the crowd. It stung like hell. I wanted to yell, to demand answers, but instead, I muttered a quick hello and headed for the stairs. Halfway up, I heard footsteps behind me. "Liam, wait, can we talk?" I froze, my heart slamming against my ribs. I turned to see him glancing nervously toward the living room, where Max had wandered off to grab something from his room. "Real quick," Dylan added, his voice low. I followed him out to the back patio, the drizzle pattering on the awning above us. The air smelled like wet earth and impending storm. He didn't speak immediately, just stuffed his hands into his jeans pockets and stared at the puddles forming on the grass. Finally he sighed. "I've been thinking a lot." "About what happened?" "About us." I waited, arms crossed, trying to steady my breathing. "This is all so screwed up," he continued, rubbing the back of his neck. "Because of Max, because of school, because of everything. People have expectations. My family, my dad would lose it if he knew I was even considering." He trailed off, but I knew what he meant. If he knew I was into guys, if he knew it was you. He met my eyes at last, raw vulnerability etched on his face. But I can't shake that night. It's on repeat in my mind. I've never felt anything like that before, and it terrifies me. There it was. The truth, stripped bare and messy. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I don't want to be your hidden thing, Dylan," he winced, like the words physically hurt. "I'm not trying to make you one." "But that's what this feels like," I pushed back. "We connect when no one's watching, and the minute Max, or anyone, shows up, it's like I vanish." He stepped closer, his expression torn. "That's not fair." "It's just, I don't know how to be this me in front of everyone. I've been faking it for so long, playing the part. And you make it impossible to keep up the act." Those words slammed into me, leaving me breathless. "You make it impossible to keep up the act." We didn't touch then. No hugs, no lingering glances. But I saw the war raging in his eyes. One side desperate to bolt, the other already entangled with me. A week later, Max's birthday rolled around. Huge bash at our house. Music blasting, people spilling out onto the lawn, the air thick with laughter and the scent of barbecue. I hung back on the fringes, nursing a soda, half watching Dylan across the yard as he bantered with his soccer teammates. He hadn't glanced my way all evening, not even once. Then, out of nowhere, some girl, Sarah, I think, from the cheer squad draped herself over him and planted a kiss square on his lips, right in the middle of the crowd. It felt like a knife to the gut. He didn't reciprocate, but he didn't shove her away either. He just let it happen, frozen in place. I stood there, cup crumpling in my fist, fighting the urge to shatter. I bailed early, slipping out without a word to anyone. Around 1 a.m., my phone vibrated. Dylan. Come outside. I peered out my window. He was parked down the block, engine off, lights dim. I shouldn't have gone, but my feet carried me anyway. I slid into the passenger seat. The car reeked of cologne and faint beer from the party. He looked wrecked, hair disheveled, eyes red-rimmed. I didn't kiss her back. I stayed silent, staring at the dashboard. It came out of nowhere, he insisted. Didn't mean a thing. My voice came out sharper than Inde. My voice came out sharper than intended. Yeah? Well, neither did we, apparently. His face crumpled. Liam, don't say that. Why not? You've been acting like it was nothing for weeks now. Because I'm terrified, all right? He slammed his palm against the steering wheel, frustration boiling over. Terrified of what this could mean. Of losing Max. Of blowing up my whole life. I let the silence stretch, then met his gaze. You're scared of losing everything, but I've been scared of never having something real to begin with. He didn't respond, just stared out the windshield, jaw tight. When I reached for the door handle, he grabbed my hand and held on, his grip desperate. We sat like that for what felt like hours, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. You can only hide for so long before the secrecy starts to suffocate you. For Dylan and me, the pressure built with every passing day. After that night in the car, things evolved. He didn't make a move to kiss me. Not yet, but he stopped the full-on pretense. He'd show up at the house and actually engage with me, asking about my art classes, my latest drawings, like he genuinely cared. He'd hang back in the den when Max stepped out, his hand brushing my arm as he passed. A subtle touch that sent shivers down my spine. He was still cautious, but the invisibility cloak was gone. For a brief period, I dared to hope this could turn into something solid, something out in the open. Then, one lazy Sunday morning, the cracks started showing. Max was out in the driveway tinkering with his beat-up Jeep, blasting rock music from the speakers. Dylan and I were inside, sprawled on the living room floor, sorting through old photo albums for a laugh. Sitting close, our shoulders occasionally bumping, the air charged with unspoken energy. We were cracking up over a childhood picture of Max with a mullet when he wandered in for a drink. He stopped in the doorway, eyes darting between us. The albums, the proximity. What's got you two so amused? His tone was casual, but his posture was stiff. Dylan straightened up. Just reliving your awkward phase, man. Remember that haircut? Max chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. He grabbed a water bottle from the fridge and headed back out, pausing once to glance over his shoulder at me. That look, it was loaded with unspoken questions, a spark of doubt that chilled me to the bone. That evening, Dylan texted, "Did Max seem weird to you today?" My stomach nodded. Yeah, I think he's onto something. What now? He replied. I had no answer. The next few days were off-kilter. Max was still his goofy self, raiding the kitchen, staying up late gaming, but whenever Dylan was around, his demeanor shifted. More observant, less talkative. One evening, as I headed downstairs for a snack, I overheard them on the front porch. Their voices were hushed, tense. I paused just inside the door, straining to listen. "Max, you've been acting distant." "Everything cool?" Dylan asked. "Yeah, just busy with practice and stuff," Max replied. But there was an edge, a beat of silence. "Is that really it?" Another pause, heavier. I don't know, dude. You tell me what's going on. My blood ran cold. I retreated upstairs before they could spot me, my mind racing through worst-case scenarios. What if Max confronted us? What if he exploded? What if he spilled everything to our parents? Sleep evaded me that night, my thoughts a whirlwind. At 1:47 a.m., Dylan texted, "Can't sleep." "Me neither," I shot back. "You good?" "No." "Then meet me in 15? At the park down the street." I pulled on a jacket and snuck out, the cool night air biting at my skin. He was waiting on a bench under a street lamp, looking drained. Dark circles under his eyes, shoulders slumped. We didn't speak right away. We just sat, the distant hum of traffic filling the void. Finally, he broke the silence. "I can't keep this up. The hiding, the paranoia every time Max gives us a side-eye." I held my breath, waiting for the hammer to fall. "Not like this," he clarified. "I want to be able to acknowledge you in public, to talk without second-guessing every word." My heart swelled. "What are you saying?" He shifted closer, his voice wavering. "I'm ready to stop faking it. But if we're doing this for real, I need you in it completely." I nodded, no hesitation. "I already am?" Relief washed over his face. Then, under the glow of the lamp, with the world quiet around us, he leaned in and kissed me. Our first real kiss. Not hidden in shadows, but open, passionate, with the rustle of leaves and the faint chirp of night insects as our soundtrack. For that instant, it felt like we owned the universe. But secrets have a way of exploding when you least expect it. 3 days later, Max discovered my journal. I'd always stashed it away in my desk drawer, pages filled with doodles and scribbled thoughts. But that morning, I'd been jotting down memories of Dylan, a rough portrait of his smile, notes on our late-at-night talks, and forgot to hide it. Max was rummaging for a spare phone charger when he found it. I walked into my room to see him flipping through the pages, his face a mask of shock. "Is this Dylan?" he asked, holding up the sketch. My throat closed up. I couldn't form words. He stared at me, piecing it together. "Are you with him?" The silence was deafening. It confirmed everything. "How long?" His voice was soft, but laced with pain. "Since the lake," I managed. "That long?" He set the journal down, running a hand through his hair. "And you didn't tell me?" "I didn't know how," I admitted, guilt flooding me. "You're my brother, and he's your best friend. I was scared it'd ruin everything." "You should have trusted me," he said, his eyes glistening with hurt. "I'm not some stranger. I could have handled it." But that's what he didn't get. I was still figuring out how to handle it myself. He left the room without another word, the door clicking shut like a finality. I didn't see him for hours, skipping family dinner, holing up in his room. Dylan showed up the next morning, uninvited, as I sat on the front steps nursing a lukewarm tea. He looked as rough as I felt, disheveled hair, weary eyes. He knows, doesn't he? "Yeah, what did he say?" "Nothing much." "That's what sucks." Dylan sat beside me, our arms brushing. "Do you regret us?" I turned to him. "No, I regret the hiding, but not you." He exhaled sharply, then took my hand right there in broad daylight. No glances around, no hesitation. It was bold, liberating. That evening, Max got home early from practice. Dylan was still there, helping me organize my art supplies in the garage. Max walked in, eyes narrowing at the scene. "Can we chat?" he asked Dylan, nodding towards the driveway. Dylan followed, and I watched from the doorway. It wasn't a fight, no raised voices or drama, but it was raw. Dylan gestured animatedly. Max paced, then stopped, arms crossed. Finally, Dylan said something that made Max's shoulders drop. Later, I cornered Max. "What did he tell you?" He sighed, leaning against the wall. "He said he loves you." My world stopped. "He what?" "Said it wasn't planned, that it snuck up on him, but it's genuine. He's not playing games. He's just been terrified." We stood in heavy silence. Then Max met my eyes. "You know what bugs me most? Not that you're gay. Not even that it's him. It's that you both thought I couldn't deal with it. Like I wasn't worth trusting. Guilt twisted in my gut. I didn't want to lose you as my brother. His face softened. You haven't lost me, Liam. But man, it hurts feeling sidelined like that. I'm sorry, I said, stepping forward into a hug, the first real one in ages. Things weren't perfect after that. There were awkward family dinners, tough conversations with our parents, and navigating school rumors. But Dylan and we stopped hiding. We held hands in the hallways, shared inside jokes in front of Max, built something real out of the ashes of secrecy. And, in the end, that's what mattered. Finding love where we least expected it, and the courage to claim it. I never expected to fall for my sister's best friend. It started small, like a crack in the foundation you don't notice until the whole house shifts. Her name was Elena, and she'd been crashing at our place since we were kids. Sleepovers turning into weekends, weekends into summers. My sister Mia and Elena were inseparable, always whispering about boys, dreams, and secrets I pretended not to overhear. I was Alex, the older brother by 2 years, the one who fixed things. Bikes, fights, broken hearts from afar. Elena was just there. Bright-eyed, quick laughing, with that wild curly hair that caught the light like fireflies. It was the summer before senior year, when everything tilted. Mia had dragged us all to the old lake house our family rented every July. Me, Mia, Elena, and a couple of their friends. The days blurred into bonfires and lazy swims, but one night the others crashed early. Elena and I ended up on the dock, feet dangling in the water, passing a warm soda back and forth. She talked about her parents' divorce, how it left her feeling like a ghost in her own home. I listened, really listened, and something in her voice cracked me open. You get it, don't you? She said, nudging my shoulder. The quiet chaos. I nodded, and when our hands brushed, reaching for the can, neither of us pulled away. That was the first spark. Innocent, electric, forbidden in my mind, because Mia would lose it. School started, and we kept it buried. Stolen glances in the hallway. Texts that danced around the truth. Elena was dating some guy from the soccer team, Jake. All easy smiles and popularity. I told myself it was nothing, that I was just protective. But then came the party at Tyler's house, Mia's boyfriend's place. Music thumped, red cups everywhere. I saw Elena across the room, laughing with Jake, but her eyes found mine. Later, in the backyard, away from the noise, she cornered me by the fence. This is stupid, she whispered. Pretending I don't feel it. My heart hammered. Mia, I know. She stepped closer, her breath warm on my neck. We kissed then, quick and desperate, like we'd been holding our breath for years. It tasted like Risk and summer lake water. We tried to stop. God, we tried. But secrets have a way of growing roots. We'd meet in my car after her shifts at the coffee shop, or in the empty art room where she painted murals for fun. She'd sketch me sometimes, rough lines of my jaw, my hands, and I'd watch her, mesmerized. You're trouble, Alex, she'd tease, but trouble felt like home. Mia started noticing the weirdness. Why are you two always arguing? She'd ask, eyebrow raised. Elena would laugh it off, but I'd see the guilt in her eyes. One night, after a fight with Jake, she caught him flirting with someone else. She showed up at my window, tears streaming. I pulled her inside, held her as she sobbed into my shirt. I don't want him. She looked up, and I kissed her again, slower this time. We didn't stop at kissing. Clothes peeled away in the dim light, 2 a.m. light. Her skin soft under my fingers, whispers turning to gasps. It was messy, perfect, ours. The guilt hit hard the next morning. Mia was my sister, my confidant since we were kids sharing bunk beds during storms. Elena was her rock, the one who helped her through our parents' own rough patches. How could we do this? We swore it was a mistake, but mistakes don't leave you aching for more. Weeks blurred, hidden touches under dinner tables, excuses to be alone. Then Jake dumped her publicly at a school dance, calling her frigid loud enough for everyone to hear. She ran out, and I followed, finding her crying in the parking lot. "I'm done hiding," I said, pulling her close. But we weren't. Not yet. Mia found out on a rainy Tuesday. She'd borrowed Elena's phone for a playlist and saw our texts. Heart emojis, late night confessions. She stormed into my room, face pale. "How long?" Her voice broke. Elena was there too, summoned by a frantic call. "Months," I admitted. Mia slapped me, hard, stinging across my cheek. "She's my best friend, Alex." "How could you?" Elena reached for her, but Mia recoiled. "And you? Betraying me like this?" The door slammed, echoing like thunder. That night, our house felt like a war zone. Mom asked what was wrong. I lied about a fight over college apps. Elena went home texting me, "I'm sorry. I love you." Love. She'd said it first, and it terrified me. The fallout was brutal. Mia ignored us both, skipping family dinners, locking herself in her room with music blaring. At school, whispers followed Elena. "Slut." Homewrecker, even though Jake was the cheater. Guys on the basketball team, where I played point guard, gave me side eyes. "Banging your sister's friend?" Bold, man. I punched one in the locker room, got suspended for a game. Elena's parents grounded her, thinking it was rebellion. We met in secret still, but it was poisoned now. Every kiss laced with what we destroyed. 10-1-1-1. I was spiraling. One afternoon, parked by the river, Elena cried in my arms. "I can't lose her." "But I can't lose you." I nodded, throat tight. "We'll fix it. But how?" Then came the confrontation. Mia showed up at Elena's door unannounced, eyes red. They talked for hours, me waiting outside like a ghost. When Elena emerged, she was shaking. She hates us, but she needs time. Time. That word became our mantra. Slowly, Mia thawed. Not forgiveness, but understanding. She'd always known Elena's home life sucked. Dad gone, mom working doubles. And me, I'd been the steady one after our own dad's heart attack scare. One night, Mia knocked on my door. "You love her?" "For real?" I nodded, swallowing hard. "I just need time. Not to be okay with it. I already am, weirdly. But to wrap my head around my best friend's in love with my brother. That's new." We both half laughed. Awkward and painful, but real. "She better not break your heart," Mia added. "She already has," I said quietly. "Then she better fix it." That night, Elena came back. We sat on the back porch, knees touching, quiet between us. I turned to her. "You told her you love me?" She looked at me, unflinching. "Yeah. Did you mean it?" She smiled. Small, real, soft. "I didn't mean to fall for you, Alex, but I did. Hard." I rested my head on her shoulder. And for once, nothing felt like a secret. After Elena told Mia the truth, something shifted in me. Not just relief, not just hope, something deeper. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was waiting for the floor to drop. We weren't hiding, but that didn't make it easier. At school, people talk, and small towns like ours don't forget. It started slow. Stares in the hallway. Whispers like, "Is that the Harlan girl with Alex Reed?" One girl on the cheer squad asked Elena loud enough for others to hear. "So, you're into brothers now?" Kinky. Elena just stared her down. "Say it again. I dare you." Nobody did, but the silence was loud. By week's end, Elena stopped getting invites to girls' nights. Her old friends got awkward in the cafeteria. She started eating in the library, sketching alone. And I hated it. Hated that choosing me cost can her everything. One afternoon, in my Jeep in the parking lot, sun dipping behind the trees, world holding its breath. She didn't look at me when she said it. I don't know if I can keep doing this. My chest tightened. "You mean us?" She shook her head. "No, this place, these people, the weight. I thought coming clean would free me. But it feels like I opened a door to a storm." I saw her falling apart in slow motion and couldn't stop it. "I'm tired, Alex." That broke me. Elena wasn't the type to admit weakness. She was the fighter, the one who smiled through pain. Later, Mia knocked on my door, sat on my bed. You guys okay? I shrugged. Not really. She nodded, eyes understanding for the first time. You know, Elena's always been there for me. Covered my ass when I snuck out. Held my hair when I puked after parties. Stayed up talking me through breakups. She's more than a friend. I waited. If you're who she's willing to lose it all for, then you're worth it. My throat closed. She's worth it too, I whispered. Mia smiled, small and sad. Then don't let her forget. Next day was Friday. Basketball game. Even benched for attitude. I suited up. Coach mumbled about team image, distractions. But I showed anyway, stood sideline, silent. Halftime we were down. Star player twisted his knee. Crowd tense. Coach eyed me. I stepped up. Put me in. You sure? I'm not quitting because they're uncomfortable. He nodded. I ran out. Stadium quiet, not for my skill, but because I'd changed in their eyes. But I played like fire. Steals, threes, drives. Crowd roared back slowly, remembering. Final buzzer. I looked to the bleachers at Elena and smiled. For her. After, by the gym doors, she waited. I dropped my bag. Wrapped her in my arms right there. Gasps, claps, one guy yelling, "Go Reed!" But I didn't care. He chose me openly. Later, on Mia's tailgate, her head on my shoulder. That was brave. So were you. Didn't run. Would have if you hadn't grabbed my hand. She laced fingers. Never letting go. Some stories end with peace, not fireworks. That's us. Soft mornings, no hiding. Things didn't magic fix, but shifted. My parents took it well. Mom cried, scared for us. Happy? Yes. Then okay. Dad ruffled my hair. Elena's family anyway. Guess officially now. Elena's folks? Worse. Dad yelled, called it a phase, embarrassing. Mom tiptoed, torn. Broke her. She showed at my house 1 a.m., rain-soaked, lost. I towed her in, dried her, blanketed. Why so hard? Feels like punishment for good. I held her. People fear the unknown. We're here to live, she cried. Tired of apologizing. Don't owe any. She slept in my arms, messy, fragile. Loved her broken parts too. Mia came around, brought snacks, movie nights. Why so cool now? I asked. She shrugged. No, Elena's real. She'd die for you, protect you. Trust you both. Simsmear. Shrugged. No, Elena's real. She'd die for you, protect you. Trust you both. Sim smirk. Plus, hilarious seeing her melt over you. Graduation, caps flown, kiss behind school. Future without hiding. College is near. Weekends, diners, dorm tangles. I sketched her. She wrote, his laugh quiet storms. Love's quiet safety. Summer Lake Dock, stars. Wish back? No. Pretending then. Real now. Hand in hand, peace. She wasn't just sister's friend. My love, choice. Fall again every lifetime. If you made it this far, please subscribe for more real stories like this one. You being here means everything. Love.